From sending fake love letters to shutting down the White House internet to literally blowing up nuclear facilities in broad daylight, this is how the deadliest computer viruses broke the internet and their final kill counts. And spoiler, while some left an epic hacker message, others just talked about tennis players. But first, let's start at the beginning with the creeper virus in 1971, our first digital infection, which got onto giant mainframe computers by moving through the ARPANET. It didn't destroy anything, it just popped up a message saying, "I'm the creeper, catch me if you can." Today, that's an easy fix with antivirus, but back then, developers had to create a program called the Reaper just to hunt it down. It was basically digital bloodletting. But if you thought that was dramatic, this is the most insane prank in tech history, where a 15-year-old kid named Rich Skrenta created Elk Cloner in 1982. He started out just wanting to mess with his friends' Apple II computers. He put the virus on floppy disks, and when his friends booted up a game, they got a weird poem instead, Squad Goals. But the virus accidentally spread outside his friend group, becoming the first large-scale computer virus in history. However, on November 2nd, 1988, exactly when the internet was starting to take shape, the spookiest thing happened. A grad student named Robert Tappan Morris wanted to measure the size of the internet, but he made a tiny mistake in his code, and the worm replicated way too fast. It grew ill from an infinite loop, shutting down 10% of all computers connected to the internet. And on the night before his arrest, he realized what he had done. When they told him the damage was in the millions, his final defense was basically, "My bad, doctor, nothing more." Meanwhile, a few years later, the world was freaking out over a sickly little virus called Michelangelo. Completely unaware that it was actually pretty weak, the media hyped it up to be the end of the world. It was programmed to wake up on the famous artist's birthday and wipe everyone's hard drives, with famous last words from news anchors predicting total digital apocalypse. It's kind of crazy that this virus, which spent the whole month of February terrifying the globe, ended up infecting almost nobody when the day actually arrived. Kind of like our next virus, CIH, also known as Chernobyl, which almost completed the ultimate hardware destruction trifecta. Because after dealing with basic software bugs, this virus from Taiwan was on a mission, and security experts were trying desperately to keep computers alive. But when activated, CIH didn't just delete files, it literally overwrote the computer's BIOS chip, which basically meant it bricked the physical motherboard, turning expensive PCs into giant paperweights and destroying 60 million computers worldwide. I mean, come on, it was so close to destroying everything. But you know who did make it? The Melissa virus in 1999, which became the first massive email worm. The creator, a dude named David Smith, named the virus after an exotic dancer he met in Florida. Charming. It infected Microsoft Word documents, but its final message was about how it missed adult websites, sending a list of passwords to 50 of the victim's contacts. I regret that I should leave this network without sending this to everyone. It caused $80 million in damage. And while most viruses just corrupt files, some destroy your actual feelings, like the I love you virus in the year 2000. Two college students in the Philippines sent out an email with the subject line, "Love letter for you." And while casting a wide net, millions of lonely people suffered a massive heartbreak, clicking the attachment and collapsing their entire company's email servers. And after IT guys carried the broken servers out, the creators basically said, "This is the last of Earth. I am content." Because the Philippines didn't have hacking laws yet, they didn't even go to jail. But some viruses have more pathetic endings, like the Anna Kournikova virus, which is one of the most insane simp traps in internet history. It was a tough lesson for dudes who just wanted to see a picture of the famous tennis star. But despite all this, they didn't go down the way you might think. They got an email promising a photo of Anna, but when they clicked it, their computer filled with a malicious script, hydrate or dihydrate, am I right? And surrounded by angry bosses whose emails were hacked, these thirsty guys turned into softies, with their last words being, "Oh, do not cry. Be good employees and we shall all meet in HR." And then there's Code Red in 2001, which struggled with taking down the actual US government. It spread quietly across servers, with its last action being an organized DDoS attack aimed directly at the White House's website. There is but one reliance, which was its way of expressing its trust in overwhelming traffic. And while Code Red lived for a few weeks, our next virus holds the record for the fastest infection ever because of this one insane flaw. During its launch, SQL Slammer didn't use a long 2-hour download time. It infected 75,000 servers in just 10 minutes without even requiring a user to click anything. And for over a decade, we thought nothing could move that fast. Experts now believe it caused network septic shock due to overwhelming traffic. That's insanely unlucky because Slammer crashed ATMs and airline flights almost instantly. But this next virus didn't have the best record with the people. MyDoom is the only virus whose damage is still felt today because it created a massive zombie army. It was even elected as the worst email worm in history. But before it could finish the job, it started sending junk mail to everyone on the planet, with its last words being, "Perhaps it is best." Agreed, MyDoom. Then there was Conficker, which lived far too long and infected millions of government and police computers. And it's because months after being discovered, it was on a tour of the internet where it contracted millions of machines into a botnet. But despite the circumstances, it went out as a ghost, never actually launching a major attack, with its last message to the world basically being, "I love you, internet. For all eternity, I love you." I'm not crying. You're crying. But for this next virus, you might be crying over your bank account because the Zeus Trojan died from stealing too much money. Or did it? During a massive hacking spree in the late 2000s, Zeus desperately needed to steal passwords. So it ran into people's browsers, ate their banking credentials, and drank several $1 million. The problem was, cybersecurity was basically non-existent back then, and Zeus stole over $100 million. However, many believe Zeus was retired by its creator because the FBI heat was rising. But when forensic analysts looked at the code years later, they found it had just been sold to other hackers. So it really was just bad news. And before it died, Zeus said, "I expect the summons soon. I regret nothing." And after death by FBI, Stuxnet stepped up to the plate. And unlike Zeus, Stuxnet was built by literal governments. It was dropped into an Iranian nuclear facility on a USB drive, and right before it detonated, someone plugged it in, and Stuxnet said, "The uranium is palatable," which basically means in fancy hacker talk, it's time to blow up these centrifuges. 5 stars for the explosion. But our next virus had one of the saddest outcomes ever. Just weeks before taking over the internet, CryptoLocker sent users on a downward spiral of depression. It started encrypting their family photos, became a digital hostage taker, and destroyed hard drives. It demanded Bitcoin to unlock the files, and nobody wrote down its last words because the victims were all alone crying over their lost data. Dang, that's sad. And unfortunately, the downward spiral of the internet continued with the next virus, WannaCry, which many view as one of the worst ransomware attacks ever because it shut down hospitals globally and nobody did anything to stop it. WannaCry spread through a leaked NSA exploit, although some believe it fell victim to a kill switch. He went out proclaiming, "Oh Lord God Almighty, my code is flawed."